The second segment of the show, we're talking to Mr. Bill Purcell, who is a candidate for the mayor of the city of Nashville. And of course, Mr. Purcell, before we had our first commercial break, we were talking about housing and some of the other issues of your campaign. Let's look a little closer at housing, primarily because I think quite recently we read that there were some 50,000 people who, in the city of Nashville and the area, who stood in need of housing, and that there was not enough public housing available, and that in order to do something, the federal government has to, the local government has to take a very active role, and especially I think it was pointed out that the mayor, and as well as newspapers and et cetera, ought to also take a role. Let's talk about housing. It does seem that housing is an issue that is really on the top of a large number of people's minds now.
Well, and I think with good reason. In fact, Mayor Bredesen said very recently that if there was an unmet need during his 2 terms as our mayor, he felt as though it was in this area of housing, and felt as though the next mayor really ought to take a strong stand early on to focus the attention of the larger city on this issue. I think the need is very great here at the moment. The numbers that you set out, I think, ought to surprise many people, but at the same time ought to make them know they need to redouble their efforts in this area. The city has an important role. Clearly, we maintain a large agency, MDHA, which is charged with the responsibility for making sure that housing is available. But what I think we've learned here in recent months is that it's not simply a city function. The city can't by itself, not certainly with public resources, provide for all of the needs. It's got to be a partnership between private individuals, private companies, and in particular banks and other entities that are in a position to provide the financing to give us the wide range, the rich mix of housing that we need. The days when we believed that a concentration of public housing in one part of the city or another are clearly over.
So we're moving away from that.
Absolutely. I think we have a consensus now, as they have in other cities, that was probably never a good policy, but clearly is not a policy now as we enter this new century. The idea of bringing all those people together into places that ultimately became worn out and substandard without any hope of a new and brighter future within the larger community were wrong. What we need to do is provide throughout the whole large county the opportunity for that mix of housing opportunities. There are some among us who will always want to rent. There are many others, however, who will want to share part of that American dream, the dream that we hold so strongly to ourselves. And that dream includes in large measure the opportunity to own your own home, to be in control of your own destiny, to be both responsible for and reap the benefits of good stewardship of your own resources. So as we begin to continue the shrinking and downsizing of these large and massive, in some cases, public housing complexes, we need to stay focused on the reality that we can provide through infill and empty lots, through development in different areas, a mix or range of opportunities for people to live throughout this county based upon where they want to and need to live. At the same time, I think we'll find that that's the kind of thing that will hold the population here that's critical to our tax base. There was an article in the paper just today about the fact that while growth remains very strong in the counties surrounding Davidson, we are finding increasingly, particularly among the middle class, that there's a decreasing strength in the growth in that area. In fact, fewer and fewer are choosing to live here. What we're finding is more and more decisions are leading our people to move to counties surrounding Nashville. For the long term, that's not healthy. We need to have a diverse and vibrant city that provides opportunity, it seems to me, for